What's up? It's almost summertime and I really want to make a light and breezy summery dress. So that is what's going to happen today. I have thrifted a extra large sheet. The fabric makeup is a linen cotton blend and it was like $10. She's washed, she's ready to go, and so am I. My design thoughts are oversized smock dress, sleeveless so it's extra easy breezy, big oversized collar with frills, and a nice gathered miniskirt. I'm thinking simple, I'm thinking wearable, I'm thinking happy. Let's do this. Also, I went swimming today, so my hair is crazy. That's just the vibe. And also, I didn't say hello, so hi. My name is Carly, and I'm a sewist and a maker here on YouTube, and I'm very pleased to meet you. Let's sew. For today's make, I'm using the Claire Dress Bodice Block from Hubbarding Patterns. And I just want to change it up a little bit. I think I just want to bring the neckline in so it's closer to my neck, and maybe I want to add a dart, if that's even possible for me. But yeah, just gonna have a little play and a little mock-up. Okay, that's my toile. I love the height of the collar, except it was just a little bit hard to get on and off, so might just make it a tiny bit bigger. But other than that, that was a simple fit check. And now I think I'll just draft the collar while I'm at it, so that I'm ready for the rest of the dress. I usually just like to drape my collar on the bodice just to see if there's any weird gaping. This one looks pretty good, but it's a bit flouncy for me at the shoulder. So what I do is I just kind of pin down where I wish it were slightly less flouncy. And you don't have to have a bodice for this. You can use your sister or your mom. That'll get the job done. Okay, so it's a bit less flouncy now, so I'm going to transfer this collar pattern onto some paper, and then it will be good for the final. Also, if you're wondering why I left a space between the collar and the center front, it's because I'm going to have a really thick ruffle there, and so I needed space for the ruffle to go. I was thinking about it. The hair simply had to go up. We've got the bodice pieces, we've got the collar, I'm going to draft the skirt as we go, so we're ready to start making it.
Oh hey, it's me, voiceover Carly, how are you? I had a really big thought this video, guys, about leaving all of these sewing clips just ASMR style, so you can hear all the snips and the machine. But then I felt like I would be disadvantaging you by not explaining what I was doing. So I don't know, let me know if you want voiceovers or do you want ASMR, because I can do whatever you want. Anyway, what I was doing here was just assembling my bodice, and that is a really simple task. You're really just sewing it together, right sides together at the shoulder seams and the side seams, and overlocking or zigzag stitching the raw edges, and of course giving them the hardiest press of your entire life. Now, there's lots of ways to finish a neckline, but I personally prefer bias tape, and that's what I made.
The thing with bias tape is that you can buy it, but it's so nice making your own because you can make it from the exact material that you're using and it matches perfectly. I just find that so pleasing. So pleasing.
And you know what? I didn't even use this bias tape to finish the neckline. I finished the sleeves with this bias tape, so pardon that inconsistency. But alas, I did also finish the neckline with the bias tape, so bias tape for all finishes.
My arm is finished. Very, very simple at this stage. It's time to do the collar.
You don't need to add interfacing to a collar. It's totally a personal preference, but if you just want it to have that kind of medium rare stiff vibe, it's such a big recommendation. I just think it looks so crispy and nice, and I always do it now. I'm fully addicted, guys.
To make gathering my ruffle easier, I am once again going to use my favourite gathering technique, which is turning my stitch length up to the longest stitch length, and then turning my tension all the way up and pinching the top thread as I sew, and that is going to create a lovely little gather. It is easier on my industrial than it is my domestic, but you can do it on your domestic as well. To sew a ruffle into the collar, I've just pinned it right sides facing to the edge, the outer edge of the collar. And we're just going to sew that down, and then we're going to sew the lining on top and flip it right sides out. That's how you get the ruffle.
Okay, I'm about to drop some facts about attaching a ruffled collar to your neckline. If you've got a ruffle, the ruffle doesn't need to be finished at the edge because it's going to get tucked into the collar neckline by a tape finishing thing. So don't finish it. I've made that mistake many times. If your collar is detachable, you will need to finish the edge of your ruffle because the edge of the ruffle will be exposed.
So you sew all the way around until you get to the end of the ruffles, but you do not sew the neckline because that's just going to go straight onto the shirt. I've sewn many a ruffled collar in my day, and there's one tip that I've found very helpful for not getting any of your stitches visible from the right side. So the stitches that you might accidentally get visible are firstly the gathering stitch of the ruffle, and secondly the stitch that you do when you attach the ruffle to the collar. So what I do is that when I attach my ruffle to the collar, I sew straight over the gathering line. So that way, this line of stitching here is pretty reminiscent of where all of my stitches are. They shouldn't really be far away from that. They should just be on top of each other. So when I attach my lining to this collar with the ruffle attached, I sew about 1/4 of an inch inwards from that stitch line, and that ensures that you won't be able to see any of my stitches. If I were to sew above this stitch line, when I flip it right side out, you would be able to see all of those stitches, and then you would have to remove them, which is annoying. So yeah, I like to sew 1/4 of an inch below that stitch line, hopefully covering all of my gathering stitch and my attaching the ruffle stitch. Anyway, it's just what I've learned from many mistakes. Let's do this. Okay, that turned out great, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all of the excess around the seams, which for me is almost like 3/4 of an inch. So that's a lot. That's just going to make it easier to flip right sides out, and it's going to make the corner of the seams so much more crisp. Also, check out my stitching. Can you see? I ended up doing 1/8 of an inch, but you can see how there's one stitch line for kind of my basting stitch, I guess, and then there's my real stitch line. I don't know if I'm talking to you too much, but I also just have one more hack that you need to know. When I construct my collar and my bodice, I do it on the fold. So I iron it very crisply on the fold. And what remains when I'm constructing, can you see? What remains is a very faint line, both on my collar and on the back and the front of my bodice. It's not showing up on camera, but because I iron it so crisply on fold, it means it's very easy to align center back of my collar to the center back of my bodice. And I just find that to be very enjoyable.
I just matched up the center back of my collar to the center back of my bodice and pinned it there, and then just pinned it all the way around to the front, and then you can just sew that down.
Also, if you're drafting a collar, the ruffles at the front can overlap. That's not a problem. It doesn't look weird. Mine just perfectly coincidentally aligned, but yeah. Make sure that you do account for some space for your ruffles though. That's a great move if you're making this. Now that the collar is sewn onto the bodice, we're just going to finish that neckline with bias tape.
A bias tape neckline is probably one of my favourite neckline finishes because I just find facing kind of annoying if it just like flips in and out of the garment. Bias tape is just no fuss, it gets the job done, and honestly, you just attach it completely normal. You don't even really worry that the collar is there, you just do it like you're finishing a regular neckline. And that's a slay. If you need more information on how to finish a neckline with bias tape, I'll attach a good tutorial below because I didn't really go into it in these clips, but yeah, it's pretty quick, it's pretty awesome. And I love it.
She looks so cute. I'm happy. It's time now to just do the skirt, which is the easiest part, in my opinion. So I'm excited. I think for the skirt, I want to do a small 6-inch circle skirt and then a rectangular second tier. So like 2 tiers. I can't quite explain it, but that's just my vision. I feel like the circle skirt might just make it like an interesting drape, as opposed to just doing 2 tiers of rectangular gathered skirts. Don't know. Let's figure it out. This is a 1/4 of a circle skirt pattern, and to make it, I got a circular thing. This is my watercolor. It's my watercolors. This is my watercolor thing. Got a circular thing, drew a circle, and then drew my 2 90-degree angular things. Then, in the center of my circle, I pinned my ruler, and then I measured how long I wanted my circle skirt to go. And then I just used my ruler with my pen, did that from 0 degree to 90 degree for the whole 90 degrees. And then I measured 6 inches in also and just did it again for the next. And that is how I got this. Ended up cutting out 5, so that's 1 1/4 skirt. And I'm just going to sew them together, overlook the edge, and see if I like the volume of it.
This part is the simplest part of the skirt. I really just attached the skirt right sides together, all 5 of my 1/4 skirt, circle skirt panels, until it made a big loop. I overlocked all of the raw edges where I joined those panels together, pressed it, did some gathering stitches, gathered it, and attached it right sides together with my bodice. And it also was storming. Ooh. Spooky sewing. Okay, I'm sorry, that was silly.
I've tried it on, and I'm just figuring out how long I need the second tier to be. So I'm just using a ruler. I looked in the mirror, and I think about the 17-inch mark is a nice safe place for me. Give me extra room in case I need it. So I'm gonna cut out some long rectangles that are 17 inches long, and however wide this is for the second tier. Yarr. Well, I actually just cut as many 18-inch wide strips as I could, which was just 2 long strips. So fingers crossed they're big enough for my skirt, otherwise I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just pinned that big strip of fabric all the way around my skirt, and it fits. It just fits. There's probably about 40 centimeters left in length, so perfect. So now I'm just gonna sew it on and overlock that. It's not a gathered tier, it's just a rectangular straight tier. Once that's attached, all I have to do is hem it, which is awesome. A pretty simple dress at the end of the day. Okay, the dress is all done. I ended up looking a little bit crazy at the end there, but I love it. It's such a simple and sweet dress. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it, and I can't wait to show it to you. But before I do, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you a lot. I hope you're having an amazing week. And speaking of weeks, let me know what you're working on in the comments below. You know I like hearing about your projects. I hope they're all going well. And yeah, if you made it this far in the video, I love you. You're amazing. That's all for me today. I'm sending you a lot of love, and let me know if you make this dress. I would love to see all of your creations. That's all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Thank you.